Armed with dragonglass and Valyrian steel, the armies and heroes of the Stark Alliance positioned themselves in and around Winterfell, awaiting the army of the dead. Defending the left flank, there was Jaime Lannister, Brienne of Tarth, Podrick Payne, and the armies of the Vale, while on the right there was Sam Tarly, Ed Tullett, Gendry, Sandor Clegane, Beric Dondarrion, and Tormund Giantsbane, alongside the armies of the North, the Free Folk, and the last of the Night's Watch and Brotherhood without banners. The center, which would face the brunt of the attack, was held by Grey Worm and the Unsullied, with Jorah Mormont leading the Dothraki vanguard, accompanied by the Direwolf Ghost. The rest of their forces were positioned inside Winterfell, with Sansa, Arya, Davos, and others atop the walls, while Lyanna Mormont and her men defended the inner courtyard. In the Godswood, Bran Stark awaited the Night King, protected by Theon Greyjoy and the Ironborn, and within the crypts beneath the castle, non-fighters like Gilly, Tyrion, Varys, and Missandei took refuge with the women and children. Watching their armies from a distance, the dragons Drogon and Rhaegal soared through the darkening sky, while their riders Daenerys Targaryen and Jon Snow looked on with concern. Moments before the first charge, the Red Priestess Melisandre appeared and rode towards the vanguard, casting a spell to light the swords of the Dothraki. The sight of thousands of weapons bursting into flames encouraged the allies, but such inspiration was quickly abandoned when Jorah, Ghost, and the Dothraki vanguard opened the battle by charging against the enemy ranks, only to be destroyed in a matter of moments, leaving Jorah and a handful of others to race back in retreat. Terrified and badly outnumbered, the allies waited in silence until the cries of the enemy filled the air, and a deep, menacing darkness blackened the sky. Though some few started to break and run, most stood firm only to be swiftly massacred by the endless hordes of undead which crashed upon them, shredding their way through any opposition, including the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, Ed Tullett, who died early on after saving the life of Sam Tarly. Having never encountered such an imposing enemy, chaos erupted along the front lines, with casualties mounting at a staggering pace, until Daenerys Targaryen upon Drogon and Jon Snow riding Rhaegal arrived to burn thousands of enemy soldiers with dragonfire. Unfortunately, their assistance soon lessened when Jon charged at the White Walkers observing from the tree line, only to be caught up in a brutal snowstorm, blocking their visibility, causing Rhaegal and Drogon to crash into one another. Horrified by the battle, Sansa retreated into the crypts with the women and children, where she could offer no words of comfort to those she encountered. Meanwhile, the allies fell back, bringing the remnants of the right and left flank into the castle, while the Unsullied held the center, sacrificing themselves to protect the retreat. Though most of the Unsullied were slaughtered, Grey Worm and a small contingent survived, falling back to protect the gate and call for the lighting of the trench. Yet due to the darkness and snowstorm, the Dragon Riders could not see the signal, leaving Melisandre to perform yet another powerful spell, surrounding the castle in a roaring fire, which at last gave them a temporary reprieve from the fighting. But it was not long before the Night King found a way past this obstacle, ordering hundreds of his own troops to throw themselves into the fire, creating piles of bodies to act as bridges for his whites to pass over. Once again, battle erupted all around them as the enemy frantically climbed over the walls and an undead giant broke down the main gate, allowing them to eventually make their way through every room in Winterfell. And while the giant swatted away all those who dared face him, he took his time with Lyanna Mormont, squeezing the life from her young body, which allowed her to summon the last of her strength, and stabbed the creature's eye with a dragonglass dagger, leaving them both to collapse and die. Killing dozens of enemy soldiers atop the walls, Arya was soon overrun and so retreated inside, where she used her stealth skills to momentarily avoid detection, though she was eventually found and would have died, if not for the heroism of the Lightning Lord Beric Dondarrion, who sacrificed himself to save her life, while the Hound got her to the relative safety of a nearby room. Finding Melisandre already there, Arya was at last reunited with the Red Priestess, who spoke a prophecy several years earlier when they met in the camp of the Brotherhood without banners. I see a darkness in you, and in that darkness, eyes staring back at me. Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. Eyes you'll shut forever. We will meet again. In the skies above Winterfell, the Night King atop Viserion attacked Drogon and Dany with blue fire before launching a strike against the castle walls. Seeing this, Jon and Rhaegal charged into the enemy, locking up in a death grip as the dragons bit and clawed each other to pieces. When Drogon swept in and joined the fight, Viserion retreated and the Night King fell to the ground, while Rhaegal made his own landing, shaking off his rider before collapsing with serious injuries. Seeing an opportunity to end the battle, Dany ordered Drogon to unleash a torrent of dragonfire upon the Night King, but it had no effect. Jon Snow then tried to run at the enemy leader and face him in a final duel, but did not make it, as he found himself surrounded by a brand new army of whites when the Night King raised the dead all around them, which now included all those who perished fighting for the Alliance. With the enemy seemingly invincible and their plan in shambles, the remaining defenders made their last stand. After saving Jon Snow from the enemies surrounding him, Drogon was overrun by whites, leaving Dany to fall off as he flew away. Alone in enemy territory, she would have died if not for Jorah Mormont, who ran to her defense and sacrificed himself to save her life. Meanwhile, as Jon tried desperately to reach the Godswood and kill the Night King, he was forced to ignore the plight of their warriors and heroes, with Davos, Sam, Grey Worm, Sandor, Tormund, Gendry, Brienne, Jaime, and Podrick all continuing to fight within the crumbling castle. Yet just as he reached the entrance to the Godswood, Viserion reappeared and rained blue fire down upon them, blocking Jon Snow from reaching his destination. With the situation already dire, even the women and children were not safe, as the dead bodies of the crypt rose up and started killing the people trapped within. The defenders largely vanquished, and the castle in ruins, the Night King and his White Walkers marched their way into the Godswood, surrounded by their undead soldiers. As nearly all the Ironborn died defending Bran, only Theon Greyjoy was left to face down the enemy leader. Though visibly shaken, Bran gave him some final words of encouragement before he made a suicidal charge against the Night King, who swiftly killed him with his own spear. Yet just as all seemed lost, and the Night King reached for his sword to kill Bran, Arya Stark ran quickly and quietly past the White Walkers, leaping into the air with a Valyrian steel dagger in her left hand. Though the enemy sensed her presence and caught her by the neck and wrist, she was able to drop the dagger into her free right hand and plunged it into the Night King's body, collapsing into shattered ice. The White Walkers soon followed, as did Viserion and the undead army, leaving the few survivors of the Stark Alliance to claim victory. Though many died in the Battle of Winterfell, including the entire Dothraki and Unsullied armies, as well as the heroes Ed Tullett, Lyanna Mormont, Beric Dondarrion, Theon Greyjoy, and Jorah Mormont. They suffered yet another casualty once the fighting ended, as the Red Priestess Melisandre walked out into the snow, and with her mission complete, took off the magical necklace to reveal her true self as an elderly woman before she collapsed and died. Love Game of Thrones? Then be sure to check out the new book, The Thrones Effect, written by a number of respected A Song of Ice and Fire YouTubers, including GOT Academy, Because Geek, Secrets of the Citadel, Grey Area, Ideas of Ice and Fire, History of Westeros, and Smokescreen, with Chapter 5, titled Eye of the Beholder, written by CivilizationEx, exploring the various ways the characters can be interpreted, as well as how the audience reacted to their decisions. If interested, click on the link in the description box below, where The Thrones Effect is available as an ebook and in paperback, while the audiobook will be released soon. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Lord Tarax Zoran, Skipalux the Unbroken, Eden Gruyer Spicy Sky Frugran, and Ariana the Lady of the Tower. If you'd like to help CivilizationEx, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and click on the links to see more.